Hi everybody. Thank you for joining us. I think we've still got a few people joining now. I'm Claire from Untitled Pens, and I am delighted to welcome you to a little bit of Christmas in September. So today is 100 days until the big day itself. I can't quite believe it. So to mark the occasion and get a little bit ahead this year, we've arranged this workshop to get us all in the festive mood. So we actually have two sessions for you today. The first, we're going to be learning all about how to wrap presents beautifully with the fabulous and famous Jane Means. And we'll then be switching over to the brilliant Keith, known to many of you as SP0, who will be guiding us through some Christmas card making with a bit of street style, of course, as is SP0's way. So it's perfect timing for those of you who are keen to get ahead. Jane's going to be using some of the products that we've included in our gift wrap bundle, which is on site, and SP0 will be using some Uniball pins and some Posca pens. But as always, please use whatever you have planned if you're joining in, or sit back, relax, and listen and learn. So before I hand over to kick things off, there are a couple of points of housekeeping to highlight. We anticipate the session's going to last just over an hour, so please make sure you're comfy. We are recording the session and we will make the recording available early next week. So if you do miss anything, you will get a chance to have another look. And I suspect I'll be looking at this as we get closer to Christmas as well for a bit of a refresh. All cameras and sound are switched off for the duration of the session. But if you have any questions, you can use the Q&A function, sort of sat at the bottom of the screen, to ask a question. And Christine and myself from Untitled Pens will be on hand to answer your questions, and if we can, we will very gently interrupt Jane and SP0 where possible, so we can interject with some questions as we go along. We might, if we're doing well for time, also have a little bit of time at the end for some questions too. So if you are all ready and sitting comfortably, hopefully Jane is too, and I'm going to hand over to Jane now to kick things off.
Hi there everybody, welcome. I'm going to go straight in and start my wrapping. Actually, I have got this gorgeous cross pen, and I'm going to be wrapping that. I'm just going to give you a little view of it. It's a Century 2. It's a perfect gift actually for anybody. It's £104. I'm going to give you some pointers on how to measure your paper, how to wrap it beautifully like the professionals, and also I've got a variety of sort of trimmings here because obviously Christmas, as Claire said, it's 100 days away. So I'm going to give you lots and lots of tips and ideas. Also, I'm going to show you how to tie the perfect bow with some ribbon there. So the first thing I'm going to do is just clear my workstation just so I can talk to you about how to measure your paper. And the other thing that I find is really helpful is double-sided tape. So I'm going to run through all of that with you. So just bear with me. Let me just clear the decks here and make some space. So the main thing for me is measuring the right amount of paper. So I've got sort of the box here. Now I'm just going to move that to one side. I'm going to open my sheet of paper out. This has been sort of pre-folded in an envelope. So I'm just going to literally open it out. It doesn't matter if you've got a few sort of crease marks there. It really doesn't matter. And all I'm going to do is just turn it around. So I'm just going to sort of put the box like that. The biggest mistake I find people make is they have too much paper for the box that they're wrapping. So I know you all know how to wrap a box. This is really just some pointers on how to get the perfect measurement. So the main thing is just double check you have enough paper to go around the object, which we clearly have there. We've actually got too much. And the main thing is that you want to measure the sides. So if I just tilt the box up a little bit so you can see, what you want to do, if I just sort of hold it nearer to the camera, is you fold the side over. Let me just show you here, but you don't want to go over the top of the box. So I don't know if you can see here, there's a little bit of the box showing. That is perfect. What you don't want to happen, if I just show you here, is you don't want lots of this sort of excess paper over the top like that. It just gets in the way. So measure what you need like that. And I just literally just get my hands and use my fingers as a sort of a measuring tool. So I'm thinking it's about 3 fingers that side, and I'm going to measure 3 fingers that side and then cut the wrap. It's also, I find, a bit easy. I'm just going to just push the wrap down a little bit, bring it down near to you, like so. So it's 3 fingers that side, 3 fingers that side. It doesn't have to be sort of exact, so don't worry if you're a little bit out. The other little trick I have as well is I always have a couple of pairs of scissors. I have one for the paper and one for the ribbon. So the ribbon one just keeps, you know, the scissors keep nice and sharp. There's nothing worse than cutting your ribbon with a blunt pair of scissors, and you can buy these anywhere. So I'm just going to start off by cutting the paper. If you've got sharp scissors, you should find that your scissors just literally glide up the paper like that.
Hi, Jane. Sorry to interrupt with a question already. And actually, I don't know if you can switch on your face camera as well, so everyone can have a little look at you whilst you say hi. But I just want to ask about scissors. And do you have any preferences, particular brand or preference for scissors? I think it's quite a personal thing.
Very good question, Claire. I actually buy my scissors from everywhere, to be honest. I have the cheap and cheerful ones from the pound shops right through to sort of luxury ones that have cost £25. So no, I mean, I love all scissors, and I get through a lot in my business. So I tend to use very sort of inexpensive scissors like the pound shop ones or IKEA for the paper ones. And then I will sort of spend a little bit more money on the ribbon ones that keep nice and sharp. And apparently a great tip to keep your scissors sharp, believe it or not, is to cut sandpaper. So
brilliant. Thank you. I love that. And it's an inexpensive option as well for everybody. Brilliant. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So the next thing I tend to do is like a little bit of a mood board, so you can see what is going to be sort of happening further down the line. We're going to be using this raspberry ribbon. It's quite a sort of a skinny ribbon. So I tend to sort of lay things on. I mean, it's up to you sort of how you want it to be. The reverse of this, because it's actually reversible paper, obviously if I turn it over and I put the raspberry ribbon on it, it doesn't show as much, but it's quite understated. So you can then decide which side you want to showcase the ribbon on. And I mean, whilst you're doing that, the other thing I tend to do is sort of pop the ribbon over the top, and then you've got all these little elements for Christmas. So things like little baubles with a bit of string in. Again, they can be from the pound shops. You can tell I love my pound shops. Somewhere like Dunelm will sell these sort of artificial flowers, and I literally just sort of cut them off. I've also got these little berries. I mean, I sell these on our website, these teeny weeny little berries. And you can also go to your local florist and buy things like this. It's sort of artificial. So it's not artificial. It's actually fresh eucalyptus that I've dried. It was for a job last week and it's dried. And actually it travels really well and dries beautifully. So if you've got a eucalyptus tree in your back garden, it's perfect. And what I actually do with something like this is just use some scissors, cut it into quite small stems. I'm an ex-florist as well, so that always helps. And then I just pick some of the leaves off, because as you can see, I've got a very small little stem just here. So I just tend to just pick some of the leaves off. Let me just pop those in the bin there. So you've got a little stem and something to be able to tie this into with your ribbon. So I've literally just sort of picked few bits off the stem, so I've got a nice little stem there ready to go. So I'm going to just pop everything to the side for the moment, just clear the decks. I'll talk to you again about measuring, because we've got sort of the sides perfectly measured, so I'm just going to lift those up to show you both sides, so you can sort of see a little bit of the box on that side, a little bit of a box that side. You don't want very much paper overlapping, so as I cross it over, I'm going to just pop it at an angle. You can see I've got quite a large bit overlapping here. If you have got a barcode, which I have just here, it's a good idea just to get rid of that. And what I'm going to do is just allow a very small overlap. So basically where the barcode ends for me, that's where I'm going to cut my paper off. So I'm just going to literally get my scissors and just trim that off. Now, if you are a really bad scissor cutter, so let's say you're like me and you're one of these really bad cutters, you can see how badly that's been cut. I'll show you a great little trick. And back to the measurements. So there's the box. So I've got very little sort of overlapping. You can see there, it's not very much at all. I've put it at an angle so you can sort of clearly see it, but there's not much overlapping. So if your scissor cutting is bad like that, all you have to do is just get your paper and you just turn the end sort of in like that. Good little tip is to start in the center and then just whiz out like so. Really sort of nice, and then you get that lovely sort of polished edge, so it doesn't matter if your scissor cutting is bad. The other thing I suggest you do as well is use double-sided tape for really professional wrapping. It makes all of the difference, and it's like a sticky tape on the inside. You can see I'm sort of hanging on to it there with the tape, and the outside is where the sort of the paper part is. All I literally do is a great little trick, especially if you have no nails, and I'll try and come quite close to show you this trick. All you basically do is fold the end over. So I'm just going to fold the end over and pinch it. Now, remember, this is two parts. I'm going to come quite close to the camera. So all I've done, and I'm just going to go at different angles, so hopefully you can sort of see it. If I just sort of go at different angles, I've literally just folded the end over just here. Okay, I'm going to go back a bit so you can see it. And then all I do is just peel that little bit back. And what you've got just here at the end is a little tab with no tape on it, because the double-sided tape has stuck to itself just in this little area here. But again, I'll do it at sort of different angles. You may be able to see it. I'm just going to try with the light then, see if it just shows up. Okay, and all I do is measure, I would say about 1/3 of the sort of the width of the wrap, and you literally just tear it. This is my own tape, and you just tear it. So no scissors, it just gums the tape up otherwise. I'm just going to pop that to the side. And when I pop this on, I literally don't go straight on the bit that you folded over. Otherwise, you find that the paper becomes quite baggy. Go close to the edge, right at the edge here, and then just go a little bit on the angle so you catch a bit of the pink trellis underneath. So I'm just going to pop that on. As you can see, it's at a bit of an angle. And what I'm doing is just folding back this little tab just here. That's the little tab that I've just done. So you can sort of see there, there's the little tab. We're all good to go. Okay, I'm just going to iron the paper out. I get the pen. I love this pen. I love the colour of it. Look at that beautiful blue pen. I love it because it's great for sort of any occasion, any genre, you name it. Just a really classic gift. It's up to you whether you want to have the box facing or you want to pop it upside down. It really doesn't matter. The next thing that I do is I grab the edge that I've just turned over, and all I'm doing is just bringing that right over to this edge here. So I'm literally going to start pulling it over. I get the positioning right before I take the little bit of tape off, and I'm basically sort of pushing the box into the paper like that. Okay, good idea just to do a little crease, let go. Box hasn't moved, and then I do the same the other side. So I literally just pull it in, give it a crease, because you want that really tight fit with the paper. Okay, and I'm just going to just basically start peeling this off like so. Okay, like that. Round we go. Okay, and then I'm just going to bring the wrap around. So try and get it as tight as you can. I'm loving the chat, folks, so please get your questions in the chat. And I've just noticed somebody said William Whiteley scissors made in Sheffield are fantastic. Thank you so much for that tip. Wonderful. Okay, so we're going to sort of carry on the rest of this. So we've gone around. I'm just checking the box is roughly in the center. So all I'm going to do now is get my 2 fingers at the top and just push the top down. And you don't actually need to look whilst you're doing this. You literally just push it down, crease it, and you get these lovely sort of crisp pleats. If I just go at an angle like that, you can see it's a really, really sort of crisp wrapping. I'm just going to bring it around the other side. I'll do it slightly to camera here. So you just literally push it down like that and get your fingers right into these corners, crease it as you go along. And I'm just going to go back to the table here like that. So you get those lovely crisp lines. And also, I know it sounds terribly OCD, you get both of these angles exactly the same.
I was just going to say, Jane, I think it helps that you've got a good quality wrapping paper there as well, doesn't it? Not wanting to push your own label wrapping paper, but, you know, that enables you to get that crisp fold and crease, doesn't it?
It does. I find if you go for a slightly thicker paper, you can pull on it a lot more. Some of the papers, I'm sure you've used it, in previous occasions, that you put your finger through it so easily. So, brown paper is fantastic, but a slightly thicker paper does work well. Thank you for that. Keep the questions coming, folks. I'm going to start pulling in the sides and literally just sort of get your finger right in there. I'm going to turn this up so you can see again. So I'm literally just pulling the sides in and I get my fingers right in. I'm going to go back to the table again. There we go, like so, and then turn it around. So I always work on the end sort of away from me because I'm sort of sat just here in front of here. I always work away, especially if you're standing up, and then you don't sort of start bending over to do this. So that's quite a good little tip. So round we go. Like that. So luckily I've got the two sort of perfect little points here, like that and like that. I'm just going to get that to a little bit more of a point. I need to get a life, I know I do. And then all I'm going to do, if I turn it around and show you, so we've got these perfect points here and here, and I'm going to just pull the sides over, crease it down like so, and the same again with the other side. Now, obviously, if you're trying to sort of just go easy on your tape, you could actually just sort of leave this as it is because the ribbon will actually hold those sides down. So, you can sort of save on your double-sided tape. The way that I measure using my ribbon, what I'm doing is I'm going to show you sort of how to tie the perfect bow. So on this one here, we've got sort of a crossroads of ribbon where you go round, and you also get the flat base. This is a really great way. The other thing you can also do if you're trying to save on ribbon, and I'll just grab another example, is you can just go round the box just once. So as you can sort of see here, if I just turn it over, I've only gone around the box just the once. The other thing that I've also done with this, if I just pop that to one side, I've actually got some plain wrapping paper, as you can see there. And what I've done is I've got one of these amazing pens. These are my favourite. They're a Uniball pen, £2.60. I can't get enough of these pens. I absolutely love them. They are fantastic for writing. And I have literally just sort of scrawled on there, it could be any greeting you like. It could be rude, it could be funny, it could be personalised with a person's name. So you can literally just sort of scroll onto a wrapping paper, and then you've got your personalised wrapping paper. But do go for a really good quality pen, and I highly recommend that one for this. The other one I've also done is this one, where I've actually personalised that present with a good old Sharpie pen. Again, you can get these from Cult Pens, and they're brilliant for, just adding bits and pieces. You could also use white ink. I'm a huge fan of white ink. So I've done same again with some wrapping paper there. I've wrapped a little book here, actually, sort of like that. You could also do your tags. So, I've got a little craft tag there. And I particularly like that one there on a sort of a black gift tag. That looks really, really great. So yeah, white ink, very good. I will carry on. Okay, so to start off, what I suggest you do is with your piece of ribbon, I tend to measure a handspan, pretty good handspan, and I start at the top of the box, and you never turn the box over at all. All you're doing is literally lifting it up and down. So you're literally lifting it up and down. There's none of this going on where you're turning it over. So none of that. So you get your handspan of ribbon. I'm just going to measure it out like that. Drop it onto the present. So this little bit here is no good at all. And all I'm doing is lifting the box up like that. The ribbon, I'm still on the roll like here, and I'm going to go around the box like so, back to the front. Okay, so there we go. So I'm literally still attached to the roll. You go back into the center a little bit. So I've got one hand on each bit of ribbon, and I crawl into the center like that with both of my hands really close to the center. And all I do is this sort of movement where I rotate it around with my hands like that. So you literally sort of rotate it around like that. Now it's a good idea because, as you can see, when your hands are quite spaced apart, the ribbon does twist quite a lot in the middle. So this is why I creep my hands into the middle, give it a good pull like that, and then just literally rotate your hand around like that. You lift the box up again. The long bit of ribbon on the roll will go underneath, back round to the top, And then you use that little bit that you started off to measure the second part of the ribbon. So I'm literally just going to get that there. I'm going to grab my very sharp ribbon scissors and just cut. And I tend to cut a sharp angle like that. Okay, so put the scissors to one side. And then all I do is just with that sort of little bit that I've got, I go over the top of sort of this crossroads here. I go over the top and then just literally go over the top and then underneath. I don't know if you can see it with my finger there, if I go a little bit further into the middle of the screen. So I literally get that end, glide over the top, and then I do this sort of U bend, go underneath and just pull it. What you need to be able to do is to be able to pull it and the ribbon doesn't collapse. Okay, so you give it a good pull like that. Just also check at the back, if I just turn it over, that it hasn't got twisted on the back, and we can straighten it up later on. If you're adding a gift tag, again, invest in a really beautiful pen. They've got brush lettering pens as well. You can pick your tag and add it on. If you are adding a tag on, you literally sort of add it on at this stage. So you just sort of pop it on like so, add it on, and then you would go ahead and tie your bow. I tend to go with either a tag or a decoration, and the decoration is the same sort of thing. So with that decoration, I'm going to tie in a little bit of this eucalyptus. I'm also thinking if I tie the eucalyptus on here, it's sort of going to be a little bit overpowering in the corner there. So what you can always do as well is, I've got the sort of the crossroads in the centre, but you could always move it into the corner by simply just shuffling it into the corner. And I'm going to do this, just shuffle it into the corner. So if you buy sort of a box with some branding on, so it could be, you know, your cross box and you've got the cross logo here, you may just want to add some ribbon around it. This is a good way of showcasing the logo. And all I do, so I've got that in there, is literally just tie on my little bit of eucalyptus. That will then stay within the sort of the boundary of the gift. And I literally just tie it in. So you're nearly tying a finger. You take the finger out and then you slot in the greenery. So I'm just going to do that. Have we got any more questions? I wonder, just keep your questions coming. We love questions here.
We had one, Jane, earlier on about the actual eucalyptus. Does it retain its lovely smell once it's dried?
This smells lovely, actually. It's about, I'd say it's about a week to 10 days old, and it still smells lovely. But things like rosemary work really well, and bay leaves, laurel leaves, ivy leaves. And the other thing I love is you could get, I haven't got one right here, but if you have a metallic Sharpie pen, they have got them available here, a copper, a gold, a silver, you can actually write straight onto the leaves, and that makes sort of a fresh gift tag. So we've got to that little bit there. Little tip on tying the perfect bow. Most of us, I tend to find, we do one loop at a time, and then we sort of go around and do the next loop. All I would say is, the moment you're about to tie the bow, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to put that to one side. I'm going to use another one so you can see it a little bit clearer. Let me just pop that there. So let me just use this one, then it's a little bit more clear to see. Okay, so we've got to that stage there. So you start with one loop. Now, when you go to do the second loop, it doesn't matter which way you do it. All I would say is the key part of this is, if your bow looks a real mess, okay, so I'm going to do this on purpose. Now, let's say you do that. When you pull that tight, that is exactly what your bow will look like. It will look sort of a disaster because you can see the two loops aren't the same size. So all you do is, before you pull it tight, just do a bit of tidying up, because the perfect bow, as I've used on this one here, should look a little bit like the letter X, like that. And all I do is just a bit of a rearranging, just sort of get all those loops, get the ribbon untwisted. So again, it's very, very loose so far. It is super loose just there, as you can see. And all I then do is just pull the ribbon tight, make sure the two loops are the same size, and then you literally just get your scissors, and I've got a little bit there cut ready. I'm just going to trim it up again. And then I literally just measure the same again the other side and cut your ribbon at an angle. It just finishes it off just so much nicer. And that's basically, there is your perfect bow. So you've got like the little letter X. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that to one side. I'm going to just finish off this little one here. Again, if you find that the eucalyptus is a little bit too long and a bit overpowering, you can obviously just give it a little haircut. So I'm just going to get my scissors and just cut it to about there and just shorten it somewhat. So we've just got a little signature gift. So it's just really nice with a little bit just here, like so. Fantastic. So I'm just going to cut the ribbon at the ends. Where's the time going? We literally have 4 minutes left. So I'm going to squeeze a super quick tip on wrapping a tin. So that's our box. If you're wrapping a tin, really quick one here. I'm not probably going to get this finished, but I'm going to do my best. So bear with me. Double-sided tape. Just make sure you've got enough wrap to go around the tin. So I've just got a little tin here, really small tin. I'm going to go around like so and just make sure you've got enough to go around. So here we go. Just going to stop it there. Little tip, because it's obviously rolling around the place, what I tend to do is just very casually just fold one of the sides in, really casually. Now I know this looks terrible, so bear with me. Okay. I'm just going to show you one side only because of time, that's all. So when you're doing a tin, it could be sort of a circular tin of anything. You literally start with a bit inside, put your finger in there just so it's all ready. So if I just bring it to camera, there we are. I've started on the inside, and all I'm doing is just with my finger and thumb, using like a pair of pincers and just pulling it in like so. Okay, so what I'm doing is sort of going round and round the tin. I'm actually going to stand up for this, so just bear with me. Round we go. Pull the wrap nice and tight, and every time you sort of pull a little pleat in, make sure it goes through your finger. So I'm literally going round and round. Pull the paper tight. So this is good actually to go for a really sort of good quality paper, or brown paper is wonderful because you can really pull it in, and just make sure every line goes through to the centre like so. I'm just going to speed up a little bit. We are nearly done. I can't believe half an hour has gone so quickly. So I hope you're enjoying the session. We've got some amazing treats coming up with Keith. I cannot wait to see his demonstration. So I'm just going to finish off. There we go. Like so. I've got a little bit of excess going on just here, as you can see there. So I'm going to cut that off super quick. I'm just going to finish off turning that little extra bit. As you can see, I've got a little sort of extra bit kicking about just here. So just turn that under. I'm then going to add my double-sided tape, pop it over again, and do exactly the same. So, I mean, a tin, once you've got the hang of it, is really easy. You may also find one side is a lot easier than the other. So I'm going to really speed up with this now. You do need good old tough hands to be able to do this. I'm just going to whiz around super quick.
Jane, that has absolutely just blown my mind. Of wrapping a tin.
Christine, I was just about to interrupt and say exactly the same thing. I've been sat here with my mouth open, just watching in absolute awe.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
And then a little tip as well, because we love tips. Let me just put that. Use your scissors as a paperweight, double-sided tape. I actually pop the tape, believe it or not, on the outside like that. Like, I know you're going to think, what is she doing? Because what I then do is actually stick my ribbon to it. That is the base and that's the top. And I stick the ribbon to it, and then what you'll find is the ribbon actually doesn't fall off. So, you know, you literally get your ribbon like that. Pre-measure what you need. I'm just going to just take this little bit off. Round we go, pop that on there, turn it over, and then I'm just going to finish off tying a little bow. So I am about all done, and let me just cut that there. I'm just going to pop my little video on. I've had a great time, so thank you so much for having me, and check Cut Pens out. I'm just going to be spending a fortune tomorrow. I cannot wait to start writing on my wrapping paper and doing personalised wrapping paper for Christmas. So I'm going to pass you back to the lovely guys at Cult and on to Keith for the next amazing session.
Thank you, Jane. That's
quick question, Jane, before you go. We've just had a question of somebody. Any tips for tackling a mountain of presents? Is it start early or do it in bite-sized pieces?
Yeah, I would say get organised, buy your wrapping paper, get your ribbon, get all your tags written before you start, put all your tags on everything that you're wrapping. Bite-sized chunks is good, or just literally put your favourite CD on, get in the mood, maybe bring some friends over, have a bit of a gift wrapping party and make a bit of fun out of it, just so it's not such a big mountain for you. But good luck.
Fabulous. Thank you.
That is amazing. I feel like you've just performed a magic trick doing that too. I can't quite. I'm gonna try. I'm pretty sure mine is not gonna look anything like that, but that is amazing. Thank you so much. You've made that look so simple.
Thank you.
I think there's no excuse for a badly wrapped gift ever again, so I'm putting myself under a bit of pressure now. My takeaways from this: I'm never going to wrap again without double-sided tape to hand. I'm definitely buying some good quality paper because I like the whole pulling it and pushing it into position, and the writing your own messages on the paper is something I've never ever thought about, and that is such a simple and beautiful way to personalize it. That's amazing. That's also blown my mind. And I'm also going to plant a eucalyptus tree in the garden, so I've got some gardening tips out of this as well. So that is fabulous. Thank you so much for your time. That's brilliant.
Thank you, Claire.
And I hope Keith is to hand. SP0, have we got him online? Is he ready to go? Here he is. Fabulous. Right, Keith, I'm going to hand over to you to take us through some street style card making.
Amazing. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. We're going to be creating like some cards. I've got some Art Gecko paper from a sketchbook, which I've just folded in half. So I've come up with a rough design. We're going to be doing a simpler version of this one, but we're going to be using a Uniball Pen, fine, which is a pen I've never used before. I usually use a Uniball I, and these are, they have all different, so you've got light gray, which is almost like pencil. You've got dark gray, you've got sepia, and then we're going to be dropping in a little bit of gold Posca and red Posca as well. So yeah, it's going to be a simpler image. So right, I'll start. Oh, and I'm going to use a pencil just to get some basic lines down. So we're going to go with a love heart because everybody loves Christmas. So just so we know roughly where it's going to go, we've got the rubber, the eraser, so that is going to be a big help, I'm sure, as you can see. And then, so we're going to have, this is the center of main flower. You can add as many as you want. And I'm taking it out the heart because I really want to utilize some of the awesome pens by using the sepia on the outside. So we're going to go black and grays inside and sepia on the outside. So we're just going to go crazy with, like, don't worry too much about anything being neat or in. And we can get a little bit of holly out there maybe. And some berries. Very simple. And then, right. And so I think we'll probably go straight in with the Uniball 0.8. Uniball Pen 0.8 because it's like if you use this one, I absolutely love these. I always thought that I would really dislike brushes like on pens, but this is amazing, honestly. Like, just you can get the different sort of thicknesses with it. It's just so nice. And yeah, until I got sent it last week and played around, I was unaware. But yeah, we'll come back to the brush tools later. We're going to get the rough outlines done because we can always come back. I've got a habit of putting down a very thin outline and then coming back and thickening it up. I know I should use a thicker pen. Probably make more sense, but I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so at least that way you can keep an eye on exactly how big your line is. These are a little bit messier than normal. I know it doesn't go with the perfectionist, but just because of time, I thought we'd better be a little bit quicker. So we're going to do, there we go, we got lots of the inner section. What would you, that is terrible. It's just gone from my mind, what you call all the pollen, you know, where the bees. Okay, basically what I'm drawing now. Anyway, we're going to get a whole bunch of those. Again, you don't have to be too neat and tidy. So it doesn't have to be a jagged leaf or petal, I should say, but we've gone for it on this one. I looked up winter flowers, and there were some designs that went with flowers like this, and I thought they were really beautiful and thought it would work very well. So we're going to fill this behind just to basically make the pollen pop out in the foreground. You can tell talking and trying to concentrate at the same time is always a skill that I don't always necessarily have. Okay, so like I say, it's going to be slightly, oh dear, I've already made a mistake, haven't I? Taking the sepia. I said I was going to go sepia outside of the heart, but what we'll do is grow sepia leaves outside the heart. So these are, again, this is the brush tool, so you can get really fine lines. It's like a calligraphy sort of brush. It's amazing. I've been using them a little bit in my normal work since discovering them. So it just gives an element of something different, having the tones, the different tones, because I think in the past everything I've ever done has been very white, and this just brings in something. It's almost like leaving the pencils on. I quite like it when you do an illustration and you leave the pencils in the background. It just adds elements, it makes everything pop out so much more. So inside the heart, we're going to keep it black. We are going to go on to different pens in a second. So let's get the center of the flower done. And then we can move on. You'll be doing a much neater job than me, I'm very sure. As you can see, very quick. And you can thicken up the lines as much as you want to make it pop out. So, as we're inside the heart, I'm going to be using the brush, the black brush tool again. I love this thing, it's so cool. But yeah, give it a go. And there we go. All of the thicknesses, so from thin all the way down. Very cool.
Hi Keith, it's Claire.
Hello.
I'm freestyling my drawing, but can I check, will you share your template with us after this, and we can share with the attendees as well if people want to use some of your lines for a bit of inspiration?
The rough illustration?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. Okay, so we'll share that with everybody afterwards. That's fantastic. Thank you.
No worries at all. Yeah, I've gone into detail a little bit more on the rough. I've got a couple of rough sketches, one with snowflakes and one with hearts. No, stars, sorry, not hearts. But hearts, you know, we've got the main heart, although you could, but it might be a little bit overkill with lots and lots of hearts. It depends what it's for. Right, so we're going to go this one. This is basically, it's like pencil, light gray. So it's just so cool. It's very subtle and just adds extra depth to it. So again, it's not the best job. It's a little bit rough around the edges, but I just want to make sure we've got time to get everything in. But you don't have to follow the black lines of the petal, like the folds. You could actually create some new ones, and like this, because all petals are unique and have amazing designs on them. So just go crazy. We've also got this is a dark gray, but also a brush. So we're going to go in with that slightly. The dark gray is quite dark, but it does blend from one to the other almost. So that's that. Right, let's go back to the sepia to finish these leaves. Sepia brush again. And we're going to the holly. I'm checking my old illustration just because I like the way I did it. So the holly was sepia inside as well, because it's a background, part of the background. I didn't want it to pop out as much. So the foreground's all in black, unless it's out the heart. And the background is in sepia, just so it fades back. And the leaf, we're going to give it some veins. Is it veins? I don't know what the technical term would be for leaf markings. But again, with these brushes, you can get the super fine and then bring it back. And then, because we've got shadow on one side, as you can see here, the smaller leaf is illustrating that already. And then on this side, we're going to create more veins down there, all in the sepia. And then back to the, let's get this one done. So I'm not going to put any shade on the sepia parts like we have here with the light and the dark gray, because it's just nice to have almost like just your basic illustration. So your basic lines, a level line drawing. So it's nice to include that within, just to show. I'm going to go back to, we're getting there. Well, also actually berries are part of the holly, so let's get some berries in. Berries, again, it's just circles. It's so simple, but it just adds an extra element to the background. And go crazy. Don't worry about the heart, because the Posca pen is amazing, and it's a paint pen. Paint in a pen, it will go straight over the top of all of this. Might need a second coat, but it will. It's otherwise you'd be taking everything up to the line and then having to go with the Posca pen, or putting the gold in first. But this is a much better way. Being able to go straight over the top. Even if you made a mistake, you'd go over the top of the white with Posca pen. So they're a handy thing to have around, especially if you make a lot of mistakes, which I tend to. Let's hope there's no mistakes today, though. Right, we're going to go in with the black brush again. And then okay, so this is our leaves. It's totally up to you how many flowers you want to put in there. You could put a rose in there. If we've got time, we can add a rose in. Winter rose, but we'll see. We want to get Happy Christmas or Merry Christmas in there at the bottom. So sepia again. Now remembering, see? Also, for the background, you could just add shapes and anything just to dots. Just adds to the full illustration, makes it look much more detailed, and it adds an extra level. So simple to do, as you saw. 1 second, not using the brush for this bit. I think what we'll do is put some extra holly in sepia. And we're going to put a star above here, which is why I'm leaving it empty. Again, that's going to be in gold, not cold. It's definitely not cold today. Doesn't, but hopefully you're getting Christmas thoughts now.
Definitely getting Christmas thoughts, Keith. What other? So I love this color combination. I'm loving the sepia. What other sort of color combinations would you use? You were going to give people some ideas about other combos to try for Christmas.
For myself, I love, like, again, I mostly go back to the Posca range, and I love like turquoise and purple always goes really well. Again, turquoise, purple, gold. But then Christmas, I did another rough sketch that you can see here, which definitely contains green and red. Again, Christmassy.
Classic
Christmas.
colours.
Exactly. So
I like the idea of doing a bit of turquoise and purple and having some alternative Christmas colours. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Something
Like,
different.
sometimes the green and reds, I don't know, it's been done, you know, so maybe there's always plenty of others. But these are quite nice to play with, because like the sepia, gold, white and grey, it just brings on a sort of almost classic Christmas, not classic in the sort of sense of almost a winter ghost story sort of.
Yes, there's an element of traditional about it in a way. Yeah.
Right, so we've got the berries. I'm going to create a shade. Right, we'll go back in with some more shade on the petals at some point in a second. But first, I'm going to bring in the gold. So this is a Posca gold, and we're going to go over our lines with the gold pen. I want it to be thick because I want it to be, so again, there are thicker pens for this, but being a control freak in a nice way, it just makes more sense to go in and double up your lines rather. Don't worry about it being perfect. Like, it's a homemade card. It's supposed to have some kind of beauty to it, and it being made by you. Like, if people want perfection, it's like with when I do paintings, if they want perfection, they buy a print, which I've had time to work up on the computer. But if they want an original, it comes with all the flaws or the imperfections. So we'll definitely put in we're going to put in a couple of stars. You could put in snowflakes, or even just circles. Just make it easy on yourself. It's just nice to have a few dotted around. And you can see there, it's not covered as well, but if you give it time to dry and then come back to it, it will cover perfectly. So we're going to go with that for now, and then back to the pencil. Sorry, I'm moving out of the picture, aren't I? Moving out the frame. Right, so back to the picture, and we're going to go Merry Christmas. And I always find just doing it in your handwriting, but with a little bit more flair. Doesn't have to be perfect again, because we're going to work on this. Merry Christmas. And let's go with another love heart. We go back to the sepia one for this. Actually, before we finish off the Merry Christmas, let's drop in some red Posca on the berries, just to make those pop out a little bit. And you can put in as much detail as you want. Like seriously, you can go full on, fill the card. You can put in as much color as you want. But on this occasion, we're keeping it classy. So a little leaf in the background, and right, and now we're going to go in with the sepia, which is what I was using. But again, because this is a brush, I just love the fact that you can get it from thin, almost like an italic. So we're going thick on the way up, across, thinner, thick again, down, thin. It's just such a nice brush. And if you want to add some extra depth to the lines, just go back again. This is not as much of a perfect science as I like generally, which is why I've always stayed away from brush pens, because again, being a perfectionist, wanting the lines to be exactly how I want them. But sometimes there's beauty in imperfection, like I said, and especially when you're doing it with someone you love. They'll see the beauty in it. So I'll thicken up that slightly. I have practiced these, so I know it works okay. Just, I wish I was good enough to just come along and go, oh, this is how you do it without even any practice. But no.
Remind us what pen that is again, Keith.
This one is a Uniball. It's a uni pen, basically. And it's the sepia one. But the sepia brush. So it's got brush just there. And it's Uniball. And sepia, it says here. Just so you, but yeah, it's just really nice. But there's a lot of different brush ones. Like this one's a brush, the black, and that's again another one. It's good fun to play around with. Get out your comfort zone if you're me. And we're going to drop in the little heart at the end. And then we're going to underline it again. You can never have, when it's Christmas, you can never have enough curly lines, and I don't know what the technical term for that is either. But yeah, and again, in true Keith style, I'm thickening up the lines. It's just so much easier just to work out what you're going to do. Just with one line and then thicken it up. But we're going to take it over. You've got the base there. You can add any amount, any more you want. But I think what we're going to do is put in some more highlights on the petals. This will make more sense if I take the pencil off that's underneath. The only reason I'm not going to do that right now is I've just put paint on here, so it's best to wait for it to dry before you actually erase. But you would see these lines so much clearer. I did this the other day with something, and it was amazing to see how once you rub it all out and see what's underneath. Like, it's very close to pencil and just adds that extra level of depth. And then we'll go in with a bit of grey.
Got a quick question here. Someone's just started using Posca pens. Sometimes find the paper gets a bit worn and feathery. I presume that they mean it sort of comes away from the paper. Do you know what this might be and how to avoid it? Is it the wrong paper?
Probably you need a higher, like a paper with a higher GSM. I think it's GSM, isn't it? Like basically.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, some are 140, which is okay, but like if you want, I know that Art Gecko do some Posca pads, which are directed especially for using with Posca. This one is, I think it's about 200, 210 GSM, so it's really nice to work with Posca on anyway. Like, and for me, it's easier working on this because you can use all different pens. Sometimes the other pads that are higher and better for paint aren't necessarily better for other pens. So this works for everything. This is an Art Gecko like paper from an Art Gecko sketchbook.
And do you have a favourite eraser that's your go-to eraser?
I mean, I generally just go with the regular Helix Oxford, like, which I've used. So yeah, exactly. I've used so many different ones in the past, and yeah, had some that just pull off the colors and just mess with everything. You know, like they leave streaks on, and it's it's just finding what you like yourself. You know, like working and playing, just experimenting with different pens. It's always good fun. So again, we're putting in extra little, and we're pretty much done really. So, and we're pretty much on the time, aren't we? I can't believe I've managed to do a card in 30 minutes. I did practice, and I think I overran slightly, so I'm quite pleased with that.
I think you've done a perfect job. Can you hold that up to the camera so we can all have a closer look, Keith? That's brilliant.
Oh wait, no,
which one? Hang on. Yeah, get Christine on the spotlighting. Yes. I love the effect that the sepia and the grey has. I would never ever think of using those colours particularly, and especially I guess on a Christmas card. But that works really, really well. That's such a good effect. You
can see some of the pencil lines below, but like again, once it all dries, you would just rub that off.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. I am feeling suitably festive now, so I'm going to be off for a mulled wine in a minute. My card creation is not looking quite like yours, but I did have a go at trying, and the holly, and just I think if we can share your templates as well, that'll give hopefully everybody a bit of a starting point to
get
going from. Oh, you've asked me this last time. I'm going to flash it up. I've got blur on, so I don't.
Oh, I love it.
And I didn't have all the right pens, even though I'm from Cult Pens. That's terrible, isn't it? But I was using. I did have a Posca hanging around, and I used a Micron pen, and I had a Pro Marker metallic from Winsor and Newton. So I just grabbed what I had to hand and had a little.
And it looks amazing still.
Pardon?
And it looks amazing still. So.
Well. I'm not flashing up for any length of time for any scrutiny, but I had fun trying, so thank you. And if anyone else has had a go, either if you've been having a go at wrapping presents, or you're going to have a go at doing some very fancy gift wrapping, or you've been having a go at making a beautiful Christmas card, we would love you to share your creations with us, please. If you share them on social media with the hashtag #CultPensCreative, and we'll be able to keep a lookout for all of those. And if you're happy, we'll share them on. And if we get a little gallery, we'll share those in the newsletter as well with all our followers. So thank you. And as I mentioned to everyone, we've recorded the session. So if you have missed anything, or if, like me, at the point you go to start wrapping for Christmas, you want to rewatch, or you sit down to make the Christmas cards in a little bit later on, you want to rewatch, it will be available. It'll probably be early next week that we'll share everything on channels and probably in the newsletter as well, I should think. So thank you very much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this session. We will be doing more workshops in the coming weeks in the lead up to Christmas. So keep a lookout for those. And for now, thank you very much to Keith, and thanks again to Jane. Brilliant. And we look forward to seeing all your creations. And we will hang on for another couple of minutes. If there's any other questions or anything we can help you with, do give us a shout. But for now, thank you very much, and we will see you all soon. Thanks. Bye.